everybody, it's the last quarter and I wanted to show you some things in Schoology that I thought you might want to try or might be helpful here in this last quarter, especially since we're spending a lot of our time in Schoology. Hopefully these things might make things a little bit easier for you. The first thing a couple people have been asking me about is linking sections in Schoology. So if you teach multiple sections of a single course where the materials are all the same, you can link those sections. Here's a link section. I think that's Mr. Zebley's class. When you do that, anything you create in one of the sections will automatically populate into the other sections. You don't have to copy things. You don't have to worry about forgetting to copy things or changing the settings. Everything is all set in one section. Now, you can still treat them differently. They are still separate sections. You can still do an update for just one section or an assignment for just one section. You have that option, but it does simplify a lot of things. The trouble with linking sections at this point is that anything that you have done up until this point when you link them will disappear in all but the, what I call the mother class. So that's why a change in quarter is good, because you might not need to look back at things that were done before the beginning of the fourth quarter. If you do decide to link your courses at this point in the year, just make sure to already have all of your grades pulled from Schoology and any artifacts that you might need. If you're keeping track of kids writing assignments, maybe have them put them in a portfolio. If you need information for progress reporting, take that down before you link them. It isn't gone. You can still go back and get it. You'll have to unlink the classes, and the only trouble there is that if you created anything since they were linked, then that information will be gone. So you just want to be very cautious about when you link the sections, making sure that what you're losing isn't going to be a major loss. You do that in the courses menu here. So you would just sort of click on one of these cogs here and link existing section, and that will then ask you which classes you want to link together, and you choose them, and that's it. It'll be done. The next thing I wanted to show you, a couple things, was the Gradebook. So let me go, I'm going to go in a course that doesn't actually have any grades, so we're not sharing anything. So Schoology's Gradebook is pretty robust. I know that I don't, in a normal situation, I don't always go in there, but there is a lot to it. You can see these are all my students in my PD course. There are a lot of different ways that you can filter and organize your gradebook. So this is how you can have the names appear. You can look at all grading periods at a time or just a single grading period. You can look at just quizzes if you just want to see how kids are doing on quizzes, or just homework. You can filter it by the material. Due date, you can decide how you want that organized. And then these are other things that you can view. So I like that Schoology has the option you can label assignments as excused, incomplete, or missing. And this is a really nice way to let kids and parents know that an empty score is excused, incomplete, or missing. Sometimes teachers count that as a 0, sometimes they don't. Sometimes it means it was excused, sometimes it's missing. So with those actual labels, it's clear to kids and parents, what's going on there. Now, this is how do you want to view the assignments. So if you want to just view the assignments that need to be graded, or if you just want to view the assignments that are graded but students maybe resubmitted, you can do that from this menu as well. Another thing it has over here, a bulk edit will allow you to make edits. If you have to go through and you want to change point values or dates, anything here that you're changing a lot, you want to just go through and change them all real quick. That's a nice, easy way to make those changes. And the last thing I wanted to show was, if I can go back, not the grade setup, the gradebook, there's an option to print reports. So right here, and I know a lot of us are doing progress report monitoring and that sort of thing right now. And Andy, I'm sorry to pick on you. It's easier to just do one student at a time. Don't worry, there's nothing in there. So in your class, your student would hopefully have some grades showing up over here, and you probably would have more assignments. But this is a really nice way to see what's missing. You know, if it has a line, then that assignment has not been turned in. It's easy for you, it's easy for students, it's easy for parents. And if you're not sure, you know, why is that a 0? I thought I turned that in. Well, let's check it out. You can click on the assignment. It will take you right there. You can see the student submission. Maybe they did it but didn't submit. Or, you know, maybe they did it and you graded it, they got a 0. You'll be able to find out what's going on, or at least talk to them about what that grade is. Now it said print reports. The only way I can really see to print from the screen is if you go to those 3 dots at the top, it's right above here, and print. And you can batch print your whole class if you want to run the whole class at a time, or you can do one student at a time. Obviously with that, in our situation, you could print to a PDF and share the PDF if you wanted, or kids have access to this, parents have access to this, so this could be a place that you direct them to go and look at their grades and to see what's missing and what needs to be turned in and that sort of thing. I think that that's really helpful to kids. It doesn't always work when we're in the classroom because we give a lot of assignments that aren't on Schoology, so it's not always complete. But in our current situation, it's more likely to be complete. The other thing you can do in the gradebook is sync your courses and your grades to TAC. So if you click on the eSchool Plus app down here, you can set it up so that either manually when you go in, and I prefer to go in and do it myself, or automatically, your gradebook here in Schoology will sync to TAC. And what it really means is every assignment you create in Schoology will automatically appear in TAC. Now, unfortunately, that includes any assignments that you change your mind about. If you don't grade it, then there will be an assignment in TAC with no grades in it, which you can always go in and delete. But, you know, assignments that you've graded, once the grades are in there, it syncs, those scores go right into TAC. You're not having to do that extra entering of grades and converting those numbers. Some things don't convert very well. The incomplete, missing, or excused labels will not, they don't translate. The TAC box will just be an empty box, so you'll still have to go in and change that. And if you've done any kind of like individual assignments, individually assigned assignments, they sometimes enter the TAC kind of funky. It's just that it's there, but that assignment was only for a certain number of people. So a certain assignment will appear twice and it can be confusing. There are some workarounds that. Next thing I want to show you, and this is kind of in the gradebook and the grade setup, is the rubrics. So a rubric will allow you to, you know, create this rubric, and it just makes grading things really easy. This is just a sample one that I did. You can type in your criteria here. I like to be concise but as specific as possible so that they know exactly what is the difference between a 5 and a 3. What do I need to do to get that 5? And then when you are grading things, you know, this will be blue and green, and you click on it, click on the score that they've earned, it will turn green and it will calculate their score and tally it all up for you. You can override the score if you want to give half credit, or there's something, you know, maybe they told you part of the answer and you're going to give them credit. You can always change that yourself. Another nice thing about the rubrics is that you can build in learning objectives. Learning objectives could be standards, and Schoology has already loaded all of the state standards in their system. So you don't have to enter those. You just need to find them. So I'm going to go here, if I'm teaching information on text and I want to keep track of these things, I just go through and I can click on the eligible content that I'm monitoring or teaching for that particular assignment. So I add them to my rubric, they become the criteria. I will still need to go in and change this so that it reflects what is being said here, and it gives students, you know, a descriptor of what excellent, satisfactory, or needs improvement looks like. But that's a really nice way to track how they're mastering the different standards. Now you can create your own learning objectives. So if you have your own things that you're wanting kids to be able to do, you know, maybe it's just something like punctuating quotations properly. That could be a learning objective. It's not a standard, but you could still put that in there and still keep track of whether or not they're doing that. Now going along with that is the mastery setup. And the mastery setup will allow you to track how students are doing on those learning objectives. And again, it could be ones that you've created yourself, or it could be the state standards or eligible content that you select. It's really hard to show this in the screen because I don't have any assignments from you guys, but this would be filled with either green or red, different shades of green or red, boxes that would indicate where students are in mastering the different learning objectives that go across the top up here. So you can determine in here, you know, what is mastery? Is mastery doing it at a proficient score 3 out of 4 times? And what is a proficient score exactly? What is the percent? So you can set all of that. You can do a decade average where it will count the more recent assignments. It'll weigh them a little bit heavier than assignments from earlier in the year or earlier in the unit. And it's just a really nice place to come in and see, if you've done this, where kids are. Sometimes it's hard to track that, but because you can link these objectives to assignments, to rubrics, to quiz questions, individual questions. So you can get really down to, you know, what kids are able to do or what they're struggling with. And you'll be able to tell if you're seeing a lot of red in a single column, then you know that that's an objective, a skill or standard that the entire class needs you to cover. If you have one student, then you need to check with that student. So it's going to give you some of that formative assessment information so that you can revisit things as needed. All right, well, that's about it. I hope you found something in here that you might be interested in and might want to try out. If you need some help getting started, please reach out to me. I'm available to you and I'd be happy to help. All right, thanks.